Hey, CJ here again. Back in my Sailor Moon Crystal video, I made a joke about Dragon Ball Super getting better treatment than Sailor Moon Crystal. Turns out I was wrong. I was very wrong. So, understandably, a ton of Dragon Ball fans are asking the same question we Sailor Moon fans and One Piece fans have been asking for years. How could this have happened? Well, fortunately, we do have somewhat of an answer in a French animator who's currently working in Japan called Thomas Romain. He said this, which I'm going to leave in its original format, so if there's any grammatical errors, that's his part, not mine. Some people, like the animation producers, the director, or some designers and production assistants, get a salary during all the production process, so the schedules are kept short to limit the global production cost. But most of the animation staff are freelancers. The cost of having everybody working in-house would be unbearable. Only one studio was able to do that, Studio Ghibli. But the problem is not that the studios are greedy. The Japanese animation studios are small companies struggling with the budgets allowed by their clients. They are not right holders. They usually do not make large benefits and are not in position to invest their own money into the IP they sometimes create. The budgets in Japan for animation are extremely low. In the 60s, to succeed in his crazy idea to produce weekly animated shows, Osamu Tezuka asked the animators to make a lot of sacrifices, work very hard, for a very low pay. The same standards are still here 50 years later. On a TV series production, an animator is usually only paid around $40 to animated one cut, from layout to keyframes. In-betweeners get only around $2 per drawing. To make a living out of it, animators need to work fast and cannot afford to work exclusively on one show. The large part of animators are freelancers who work for several studios at the same time. The problem is that the Japanese anime industry is now producing too much content at an incredibly fast pace. There are not enough skilled and experienced animators here to supervise the productions and teach young animators. The studios have no other choice but to work with poorly skilled animators, sometimes amateurs who only do that as a hobby. They also have no other choice but to outsource tasks in other countries, not to limit the costs, but to deliver the episode on time. Everybody in the industry is incredibly busy all the time, especially skilled staff. But even mediocre animators are requested on a regular basis, and it's pretty common that nobody will work on your show until the very last moment, because they are already struggling with their deadlines on other productions. In the current situation, it's also common to hear people speaking of quote-unquote miracle when an episode is broadcasted on time. Sometimes the animation only started 2 weeks before airing, and episodes can be completed only a few hours before being shown on TV. The quality can be poor, but what matters the most is to have something put on the screen. So what does this all mean for us? Well, the thing is, shows like Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and One Piece are actually more like advertisements than they are entertainment. They're made to sell figures, toys, and other merchandise. They are advertisements first, entertainment second. Does this mean that I support bad content or don't mind bad content being made? Of course not. I think it's very pathetic that Japanese animation studios are still held to the same standards that they were 50 years ago. Again, we shouldn't be blaming the animation studios. I definitely agree with that. We should be blaming the producers and the companies that put these animation studios where they are in the first place. There is a balance between advertisement and entertainment. Just look at something in the West like Adventure Time that has a huge following because of the quality of its animation and storytelling. You could find Adventure Time DVDs, pajamas, toys, everywhere you go because of the phenomenon it's created. On the anime side of things, I love shows like Attack on Titan, Yuki-Una as a Hero, Kill la Kill, and I will go out and buy merchandise for those shows. In fact, I actually just got here, I have a little Mako Nendoroid, I have an Armin Nendoroid from Attack on Titan, I even have one of Yuki Yuna from Yuki Yuna is a Hero. I mean, I got these because I love these shows. These shows have extremely good quality to them, they have amazing storytelling, and it doesn't bother me to go out and buy merchandise for them. You won't likely see any Sailor Moon Crystal items in my collection anytime soon. So if Toei Animation and other companies have been doing this for years, how come we haven't noticed it yet? How come everybody's suddenly gotten angry over Dragon Ball Super? Well, this is kind of just coming from me, so take it with a grain of salt. I think it's because Dragon Ball is loved by anime fans and non-anime fans. You have internet personalities like Angry Joe and Dodger noting and speaking out about this poor animation. I mean, it's absolutely dreadful. I think that Toei Animation and other companies thought they could get away with it this long because not everybody's been cool with it. That's the thing about this whole thing, and really it's been my problem with Sailor Moon Crystal, One Piece, and now Dragon Ball Super, is that we're too willing to forgive these companies because these are franchises we love. We, I feel, as fans, need to take a step back and realize that the franchises we love, in the end, are properties of business. And that does not make them bad, but it does make them more susceptible to our criticism. Toei Animation got away with this for years because it wasn't doing it with stuff like Dragon Ball. It was doing it with lesser known properties, at least here in the West, like One Piece and Sailor Moon. Now that it's finally done with Dragon Ball, it might not be able to get away with it so easily in the future. The cat's out of the bag, so to speak. I mean, this kind of animation is just inexcusable. So, what can you say about Dragon Ball Super Episode 5 and all the band animation that's led up to it at this point and will likely follow afterward? Well, I hope that animation companies take note of the backlash this episode has gotten. I hope that Toei Animation knows that it can't toy around with Dragon Ball fans. They are not going to stick around much longer if it keeps making episodes like this. The same thing that happened with Sailor Moon Crystal, where a bunch of fans left right after episode 3, the disaster that was episode 3, could happen with Dragon Ball Super if they don't step up their game right away. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about the matter, though. Make informed decisions when it comes to watching anime, and especially when it comes to buying merchandise like toys and figures. This is CJ, signing off.